Thanks for tuning in to No Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to explore a green-skinned white wine grape called Clairette Blanche. Now this grape is native to southern France, and the earliest documentation of it appears in the 1500s. But this grape peaked in the 1990s when there was about 7,400 acres of clairette planted between the Mediterranean provinces of Languedoc, Rhône, and Provence. And this grape is really a challenging type of grape to grow. Truly, clairette, translated from French to English, means clear or light. But this grape is not an easy one to cultivate and often is used to make vermouth. Now why is that? Because this grape ripens early, which in itself is not a bad thing, but it produces a wine that is high in alcohol, low in acidity, and oxidizes quite easily. So that truly is the definition of what we would call a flabby wine. Now there's lots of winemakers in those areas of Languedoc, Rhône, and Provence that will embrace this grape. Matter of fact, probably the most important appellation for clairette is Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So we've done lots of videos on Châteauneuf-du-Pape. We visited it, did videos from the actual castle, but Châteauneuf-du-Pape has a wine law that allows 13 different grapes to be used in their tremendous cuvées. 8 of those are red and 5 of those are white. Clairette is one of those 5 white grapes. And about 2.5% of all the plantings in Châteauneuf-du-Pape are clairette. Now, to try to counteract that flabbiness, the winemakers in Châteauneuf-du-Pape will blend clairette with very acidic wine grapes like Picpoul or Bourboulenc. And those grapes end up balancing out what would be a high glycerin, a high alcohol, and a low acidity type of wine like clairette. Now there are some others that embrace this wine grape and have for centuries and actually produce mono-varietal clairette wines. Now of course in Châteauneuf-du-Pape we're talking about making it into a blend, but there are other areas where we produce clairette by itself. And one of the first ones is Clairette du Die. And Clairette du Die actually is a sparkling version of clairette that actually predates anything they did in Champagne. And we also have Clairette de Bellegarde and also Clairette de Languedoc, which is actually what we're going to sample here. Now this wine is a tremendous wine pairing with all types of fishes. So think things like grilled sardines, salmon, and really any type of fresh or pickled type of fish. Really exceptional with that. So let's go ahead and sample one of these wines and see what we might think. The one we have today is actually from a winemaker called Jean-Claude Mas, and this is a Clairette du Languedoc. So this comes from Languedoc in the Mediterranean part of France and is 100% clairette. So if we take a look at it, the first thing we notice is this wine is very light in its color. Just a very pale yellow, just bordering on straw. If we swirl the wine to liberate the aromas, what leaps out of the glass is somewhere between honeysuckle, quince, and even a little bit of apricot. So we're kind of smelling less acidic fruits. Let's go ahead and taste it and see if that follows through. Wow. When tasting Jean-Claude Mas's Clairette du Languedoc, the first thing that we notice is almost a tangerine type flavor on the palate. So it enters with a little bit of almost like a sweet orange or mandarin. But then as it goes, we start to get a little almost like a baking spice, and we start to feel just a slight bit of honeysuckle on the palate. Now this one actually has a decent amount of acidity. So while we talk about it having lower acidity, if fermented to be completely dry, then we have a little bit more of a dry persona. Really an exceptional wine, quite complex, and definitely loaded with glycerin. We can feel the oiliness on our tongue. So I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this claret, and I'm actually going to have a little bit of bacala and polenta, and then pair it with that. I think it's going to be exceptional with that combination. And I ask that you come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.